Sorry about that. I'm just checking that all the streams are setting up correctly. Hello everyone. So this one is. Okay. Everything seems to be working fine. Hey Jimmy. Thank you. Okay. So I finished the sculpt of this guy last session, and what I'm gonna be trying to do starting today is the color. So for now I'm just sticking with this skin shader. Um, I think it's fine for coloring. I'm pretty sure there might be other better options, but since it's been a while since I've done polypaint, I figured, okay, just start with this one, and maybe if I need to get another one. Okay. So I'm gonna create my color palette, and for that I like to use just like a sphere that I can move around and paint the tones there. And yeah, so I have a few refs here that I'm gonna be trying to use. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So the the base color, the main base color, I want it to be lightish. Um, I don't know, around here in tone. I'm in value, and somewhat blue, because I want like the secondary and tertiary colors, like a bit of the accent to be more pinkish violet, like covering, like if you look at the color palette in ZBrush, um, the bottom left corner of the color box thing, I'm looking at it right now, um, like that would be like the hue area that I would like to cover with this one, but maybe also add a bit of uh, like orange or green tones, depending on what I need. So we'll see. Just for now, I'm gonna see object to this. Yeah, something. I'm gonna go with something around here to start with. using the paintbrush. Oops. Just to have it there, and then when I need it, I'm just gonna go to the color palette and drag outside of it to pick it. Like it's just because the thing is, there's a shortcut for this, which is C, I think, the C key, but I changed it to something else. I don't even remember what I just use it for something. So what I do is drag and drop on the color that I need, and yeah, for I think that works. Just a bit more reddish on the tone, I guess. Kind of like here. Okay, I'm gonna try with numbers. This will be like my secondary color, I think. Um, you know how like these little ajolotls, they have the, I think it's branchia, I'm not really sure, sticking out of the sides. In this case, it wouldn't be like the horns for me. Um, these details here, and maybe the webbing of the hands and feet, and maybe also the fin. So like the secondary big shapes, and then um, yeah, I don't know what a good color for accenting would be. But I also want to have like a deeper purplish tone that we'll put like over here. And then maybe start with like a orangey yellow tone to balance a little bit. This might not be as strong, or maybe we just need it like a bit lighter, probably. This one won't be as prevalent, I'm guessing. So select that one, and then I'm gonna start with the body. Fill object that. I'm sorry if I'm looking a lot to the other screen. I have like there's this really cool tool from Adobe for figuring out colors. It's a color wheel, and I use it all the time. Just a really useful tool. Okay, so fill object with that one. And then I'm gonna use this one for the horns and the fins. And maybe, okay, I need a lighter. I also need a lighter tone for this one. Closer to the blues. Kind of like here, I think. And then maybe also from this one, a lighter and a darker version. Just, which one was this? So yeah, maybe something like this. And something like this. Maybe not that dark. Or maybe we can use this one and then like an intermediate one. Yeah, I think that works. And then just to come back with the main base one, just to not lose it. And yeah, I remember I started with the poly paint here, but this looks really bad, I think. So we're just gonna do it again. Fill object. I think I can use the subtool plugin thing. Subtool master fill. Yeah. But I think I need to have this one turned off. This color fill. Oh, one, but I'm gonna use this. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, I forgot to turn that one off as well. Okay, so for the eyes, right now I have no idea how to solve that, so I'm just going to go with neutral gray. And I like the tones to start with. Okay. So a thing that I used to do a lot before, and I'm guessing it's pretty common, it's to like polypaint or texture based on geometry. And I think that's, or like based on shapes. And I think that's something that's really common for us to think about, or for many people to think about, because um, it's the way, like your mind is creating these shapes, so you also associate like every shape with a specific color, maybe. I don't know. At least that's what it's like for me, and it really changed my mind when I heard Guillermo del Toro talk about it when they were creating Shape of Water, how they created the creature and the texturing, like, and the shapes. He talked a little bit about color in animals and how not to look for, like, to not care basically about the shape, to just like paint the pattern across shapes because that's how it is in the natural world. And since then, I started paying more attention. And turns out it's kind of true. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you think about it, but it wasn't that obvious for me. So I'm gonna try and do like a, a, a combination of both techniques because I did sculpt a little bit of details that I want to pop. Like I want this creature to feel like like not just like a generic creature skin, but also something like ethereal or divine or something like that. So I'm gonna be trying different stuff, see how it goes. I really have no idea how I'm gonna solve this in terms of like color and design and whatnot. But for now, I like to start with just the basics. So we have hold on. Yeah. So we have the body, and I'm gonna start painting um, just like accents of the skin in general, and I'm gonna keep it very loose. For this one, I like to use like a very simple combination of alphas and brushes. Like for the base, if I need something more specific later, maybe I'll use something else. I'll change it or something. But like for now, what I just like to do is go to use the stroke, the spray, or you can use like, yeah, I don't know why this use a spray or a color spray. In this case, I prefer color spray because um, it gives you variation in size, but also opacity. And then just select an alpha. And I usually start with this one or this one. Some things like not overly complicated because I'm using just the base. If I notice that I need a more specific alpha, I'll use it later. So I'm gonna go with this one for now. And I'm gonna, oh, I changed them the standard. Yeah. Apologies, let's go back. No, this one is, yeah, it's dotted. Don't change it. And I'm gonna use the paint. Because normally I don't have a problem just changing. I basically use the standard brush as my base brush if I need to change stuff or create like a custom thing. But in this case, sometimes I forget and I still want to use the standard brush, so I'm gonna go with paint. And like select the a bit lower tone of blue, and I'm just gonna go and yeah, I forgot the alphas. I'm gonna go and change to color spray and use this one. And it's gonna start to give variation to the skin, and also like with the blue tones. I always also like to keep the flat color matte cap, because I don't know if it's noticeable on stream, but there's variation in dot size. I'm guessing if I use like a different tone. Like there's variation in size, but also a little bit of variation in tone. Like here's more noticeable. You have like, since it's like a yellow, you have some greenish tones and some orange tones. So for like an amphibian like this, I think it's pretty good. And I want to keep this simple, but at the same time, I feel like there's so many things you can do here. Oops. I like to play with the size a lot as well, to change it, make it smaller, bigger. It changes so much how the colors are starting to melt, to blend together. It's really cool. And slowly it starts to get rid of the plasticky feel. Sometimes stuff like this happens with ZBrush, and sometimes I like the happy accident, sometimes I don't. In this case, I'm not sure because it kind of looks cool. Um, so for now, I'm just gonna leave it there. I feel like I can use a better alpha for this type of effect later, but just, I don't know, see what happens. Normally that would be something that I would just like take out, like Control C and go back. But who knows? You can probably use an even darker tone. And for this one, I'm gonna take off the color spray because I want just a pure tone. Doesn't matter if it's like with an alpha. I think it's important to have there just in case. Probably not gonna use it for now. but I was thinking that it might come in handy later. So like with sculpting as well, I like to start with just the big strokes, um, figuring out details later. I think going for the stuff you need, you want to accentuate first, go from big to small. Okay. Now I'm gonna go. Usually, most creatures have softer, um, like bellies and chests and or like underbellies than like backs, because most creatures, like even marine creatures, um, mostly they like it's for protection. Like we're like quadrupeds, and so like the exterior tends to be harder or like um, darker in tone. So I'm gonna go with this light yellowish, and I think this will help me give a bit of like contrast to the upper part. Don't want to overdo it though, because I don't want this to look like very cartoonish. But I also want it to look obviously fantastical and like fake and stuff. And this time I'm trying to be a bit looser with the borders. Like I want this color scheme to really feel something random. That's obviously like not random in the sense of where it's placed in the body, but random in like the color patterns on the surface. I don't want this to be like hand painted. I don't want it to look hand painted. See, stuff like this, for example, I think it looks really bad. It was just another like um, smallest bug that sometimes happens with brushes. In this case, I kind of see it, but um, still gonna take it out. Just I think the difference in tones it's too strong. It's too strong. So not for now. This happens a lot with the larger size. So maybe I'm gonna go with smaller brush size. Hey Skippy, thank you, appreciate it. So I know that like I feel like that this type of like lighter tones in the underbelly are common in both like mammals and reptiles. If you look at a snake, also like they have usually lighter tones. I'm trying to figure out if I want it like to extend to the tail or not, how and how much, but maybe just a little bit. So in this case, like with this type of creatures, the thing I like a lot in doing projects like this is like you get to think in terms of combining many different traits that you find in different creature species, like combining mammal traits and reptile traits and human traits and stuff like that. Like here, for example, the palms of the feet and the hands, I purposely make them to look like a combination of amphibian and primate like. I feel like the shape it's interesting. And as long as it doesn't look um, like it doesn't fit the creature in the like it looks out of place or weird, I think it's cool to do sometimes. And I think I'll even use some of the purplish tones since the horns are growing around here. Oh, sorry. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and add some of those values here. Around this area. Yeah, I have a board here with a few pictures and and like illustrations of salamanders. So I'm just kind of going with that. They are usually spotted, usually either very dark or very colorful. So I'm going for that spotted, dotted kind of look. Um, even in like there's I have a really cool one here, which from afar looks all completely red, and then once you get closer, you look a lot of tonal differences. So I want the same to be the case. Like if you're looking at it from this um, distance, you're like, oh, this is just blue. And then if you get closer, it's like, oh no, it has a lot of cool things. And and also trying to not restrict myself too much with preference. I'm trying to also just I don't know try if I come up with an idea to just try new different things. I wanted to experiment with this project a little bit. Um, Thanks, Osmos. I, with this, sometimes the way I start personal projects is I just I feel like just sculpting something, So I just start whatever from sphere. And usually like in the first couple of hours some idea will come up. Sometimes it's just a character, sometimes it's a creature, sometimes it's like just forms that I figure out later and how to integrate with other projects. And in this case, I wanted to do like an axolotl, like a salamander thing. I don't know why. I think I was thinking of that creature at the time a lot for some reason, and so I just started that, and eventually I decided to make like an ancient god type of thing, to not just make like a generic looking creature. Um, and yeah, that's just it. Like make a cool concept about like a god salamander. Um, make a cool pose, render it just like that. I don't know. It's not really like a really grand project or anything. I feel like I may need to have more subtools visible for this. I don't know. And also, I don't like to, the way I usually work, I don't like to just spend a lot of time in one place. Um, I like to see how the whole is forming together, so I usually just jump in between subtools or areas of the body and whatnot, like both with sculpting and painting. Because sometimes you need to see if it's integrating with, like in this type of scenarios. Sometimes you need to see if it's actually working or not. Um, I'm gonna be using this lighter tone to just get like the tips. Like maybe for this one, okay, I'm gonna try something. I was not gonna use it just now, but maybe for the horns it's okay. Um, I'm gonna use like a very simple mask by cavity, or another like I think you can get pretty nerdy with the settings. Um, and by pretty nerdy I mean it's just like moving around the cavity profile and checking out the intensity. But I would recommend not looking at this while doing it, but looking at how the results affect this. Sometimes we tend to care about numbers too much, I think. And I think ZBrush wants you to just like be more visual. So if I just try and mask by cavity, um, oh, thanks Osmo, thank you. If I just look like mask by cavity, it gives me this effect, which is not bad. And I just want to see how it looks by peaks and valleys. And usually those are the two that I play with the most. I feel like you don't really need to get much deeper into that for simple stuff like this. If you want like more complex texturing, you can do it like outside of ZBrush, but for the things that you can do inside, and for what I need for this project, I think this is like pretty much, that's good. So, actually I'm gonna try, actually, you know what? I'm gonna start this whole thing again, and I'm gonna use this tone as the base. No, actually, I want an in between. Yeah, this tone is going to be the base for the horns. And then the other things are just gonna be the accents. I think having, oh, maybe I don't know what to do. Yeah, no, this is gonna be the base. This one's gonna be more of the darker tone for the connection to the body. Don't want like don't need to spend too much time there. And then I'm gonna use these other two for accents. This one's. So let's select this one, and I'm gonna go to the mask by cavity first. And then I'm gonna flip it. Okay, no. I'm gonna leave it like that. But maybe I'm gonna change the cavity profile to see the effect. I want these shapes to be less. I want like bigger masks in this case. So I think this works. I like to keep to paint without the mask because I want to look at the tones. So I'm just gonna turn off the mask for now, and then just start going with the brush. So in this case, I have the option to keep it like that, but I feel like the edges are too hard, so I'm gonna blur it a little bit and maybe grow it a couple of times. And now like the integration is much better, and I can go a bit crazier with the color on the tips. Which is pretty much what I wanted to do. Yeah, I think this looks better if it has a lighter base instead of this like super strong pinkish color right from the foundation. I think this is better. I'm really not in shape in terms of color. I haven't textured stuff in a lot of time. Been doing mostly just like modeling and sculpting, and I miss just working with color. So right from the get-go, it looks much better. And now I can use the other tone, this one, just to get like the more crisp edges. And this approach is like I like, how do I say this? I think this approach works perfect for the horns because the shapes are so obvious, but with the body we have a lot more like subtlety of shapes or like mixing of shapes. So we are starting slower with the body, and eventually I'm gonna do the same thing. Like eventually I'm gonna mask to get details like this to pop more. But for now I'm focusing mostly on how it's looking. Like if you just saw the color, you can notice that there's really no indication of shapes so far. And this is what I want to focus on first. I want the base color to be a solid base, to be consistent, so I don't have to just rely on the surface coloring, if you know what I mean. Hey, Jayan, thank you. Appreciate it. So the eyedropper is pretty simple. Usually with ZBrush you have the color, the C key, as in color. You press it, and then you're able to select whatever color is on the document. But since I changed it for something else, and I use it quite a lot, the way I select color is just I create my shitty palette here. Like it's really rudimentary, but it works. And I just drag from the color picker, and it basically you can select any color from the whole ZBrush window. So it's really good. And then just like go to the picker. It's basically like grabbing my real life pencil and just selecting from the color palette. It's pretty cool. Yeah, not only like dark with light. I think that's one combination, but um, also like complementary colors in a way, colors that make sense and make the others pop, but also changing um, the luminosity or like the values of them. Because if you only focus on light versus dark, it can look very monochromatic. If you only focus on um, complementary colors or like a triad or opposites or things like that, it usually looks flat or like very bright depending on the saturation and values level. So you have like you need to really combine all those aspects. Have parts of the model more saturated, have parts less saturated, some of them with like higher values, lower values, stuff like that. I know it sounds really simple, but it's not. I also like I struggle with that sometimes to figure out how to texture things, how to make things like pop more. But it's like a constant learning, so it's fine. So that's why this looks weird because we're just looking at like very simple colors and we're ignoring the shapes. This looks much better because we painted a very simple base and then we're making the edges and the shapes pop. And for this one, I'm gonna go with my mask by Peaks and Valleys to get different types of accents in the shapes. Let's see what we can change here. I don't know, I want more coverage. This is too much. So this is fine, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna blur the mask as well a little bit, and I'm gonna keep using the color spray. I think it gives enough color variation, but I'm gonna change the alpha. And for this one, I'm going to use like a harder alpha. I'm gonna try and see if any of the custom ones here are useful, or if I can just maybe take another one. Let's see. I think I'm gonna import some alphas. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much, but I just want to see if you can actually see the difference. So I'm gonna import some alphas. Yeah, no worries, calm. I hope my explanations are somewhat um, clear. So I'm just gonna use like a generic alpha that I have, this creature skin, and this is gonna give us a different um, shape to how the color is working. So I'm gonna go with this tone. And it's sort of um, I'm gonna show you with a darker tone. Oh no, sorry, my bad. I have the color spray turned on, so I'm just gonna turn it off. And I'm gonna use the drag rectangle, because in this case we can actually see this is what I meant, like the color variation in the shape, or the shape variation in the color. I'm sorry. This is what I wanted. So going back to this tone. And I'm just gonna start like dragging it. I know you can use paint layers to paint, but I want like for poly paint in ZBrush, I really don't care about too much. I like to keep things on top of each other in a way. I feel like it makes me um, care less about the technical stuff because if I don't have layers to deal with, it makes me just focus on the color and have yeah, just like focus on the final look. For simple stuff like this, layers are, in my opinion, are really not that necessary. So it looks kind of weird now, but I'm gonna go back to the dots and no, to the color spray with the first alpha that we were using and just do another round but very light of the base color to sort of like blend things together again. And I think you can like use the mask features like the mask by cavity and stuff as many times as you need, like changing the parameters. But once they give you like a good base, you can continue with just like hand painted stuff. Or well, it depends on what you need actually. Scratch that. Oli, ça va, ça va? And now that we turned off the mask, because I was painting with the mask on, I wanted to do the color variation only in the areas that I masked to have like this pinkish and whitish variation with sometimes shapes like this popping out, just like this. And now I turned off the mask and I can just continue with the original tones. And just be more precise exactly where you want them to be. Ah oui, ça va, ça va. C'est jour de sculpting aujourd'hui. As you can see. Oh, in this case painting. But we might do some sculpting, I don't know. Merci. So here in the back, for example, I think the mask was cut too, like too short, with a very straight line. So always try and refine a little bit. And I'm really not an expert in poly painting. I think I could make a way better texture if I wanted to outside of ZBrush, but in this case, I'm trying to just paint like as a traditional painter would, without using the tricks and like the stuff that I mean. I'm using some tricks here in ZBrush, but the fact that I'm just keeping it simple, I would say, allows me to just experiment in the artistic sense. Of course, I'm using some tools. Would be very hard and very dumb not to, but. And once the colors are blended somewhat, you can ignore the color palette, and let's say you want to just accentuate a little bit of the white, just grab it directly from here, and maybe tweak it a little bit here, or like the pink, just grab it. You don't need to go to the palette again for stuff like this. They're pretty good for stuff like this, for poly painting. You can actually do the like pretty complex maps if you want to. It's just that it's easier sometimes with other tools. Layers aren't as I would say the layers are more designed to sculpt on them than to paint. There's no blending modes within, so that's a big downside. You sort of paint by eye the effect that you want to get. Um, so that in a sense that's already a huge drawback. But it's really like organic to paint in ZBrush, I would say. Very similar to the real world with like spray paint or I don't know the names. Aerograph. So here, for example, I'm just integrating the pinkish tones a little bit better. Oops. Um, eye pockets and wrinkles for human older men. I would recommend to just Google human older men portraits, black and white, because usually those are the ones that show the shapes better. They're usually shot, and you can find a lot of that stuff. They're usually shot with high contrast, so the shapes are way more visible than in a regular photograph, and you can focus on that. Um, and also, uh, just Google like chimpanzees and like primates in general. The chimpanzees are really good because there's a lot of pictures of chimpanzees, and they form like these really cool eye bags. Because their skin is darker, so the shape also pops more. Um, those are really good references for that. And for example, in this case, another trick we can do um, that I don't want to abuse too much, but it's a cool trick. It's to select the darker tones and do the same mask by cavity thing, but in reverse. Instead of masking the hills or the peaks, I'm gonna mask the actual cavities. I mean, I'm gonna unmask the cavities to paint on the cavities. Okay, so another tip that I forgot to mention is that for sure you can start with an alpha. I'm pretty sure, okay, let me check to see if you can do this right now. If you go to Google and type eye bag wrinkle alpha, I am pretty sure you're gonna get something. But let me see in case you don't. You actually don't get one. Human eye wrinkle alpha. Okay, so if you Google human eye wrinkle alpha, you're gonna get a lot of resources, and just start from there. Look around the internet and look for alphas around this area of the eye. So you wanna depends on like you can find from like the texturing XYZ ones from that to like any generic alpha on Google Images, but like look for areas around this part, and then start from an alpha. And once the alpha has already given you some shape, sculpt around that shape, and then you're gonna start to better understand how to manage like the brushes and feel for the skin surface. And it's always the better approach, in my opinion, to like if you want to detail stuff to start from an alpha because it gives you a very good foundation that's sometimes hard to just reach manually. But after that, like accentuate that, like sculpt deeper the wrinkles, build a little bit more shapes around whatever cracks you created. It's a really easy way to get detail like that. So yeah, I forgot to also add that tip. Okay, so I was gonna do the masking. I'm gonna go mask by cavity again. Um, and so now I'm going to invert the mask to have access to just the cavities. And let me play around with the profile a little bit to see how. I don't want the cracks to be too I want them like thinner. So yeah, it's actually okay. I'm gonna grow the mask again and blur just once. Turn off view mask and then go with the darker tone. But what I'm gonna do in this case is just a gradient. So I'm gonna turn off the alpha. No, let's just keep the alpha. And I'm gonna do a gradient from bottom to top. So if you see, it's only coloring the cracks closer to the base of the horn. And that sort of gives more the actual accent. I'm gonna turn off the mask, and I'm actually going to take like an intermediate color in this case and just blend a bit more this part. Just a little bit. So you can see now we have some color in the color itself, and also we have some shapes. So this part is I think is gonna look pretty cool once we have lighting and yeah. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the fin for now. I want to set up the base colors, and like I don't think this is not necessarily finished like the horns, but since it's like smaller shapes in comparison to the big hole, for now I think this works. Maybe if we go crazy with the detail a little bit more, I can start like hand painting a little bit more here and accentuating that. I don't know. But for now I like this, and so I'm just going to do the same with the main dorsal fin here. So fill object with the same base here that I have. And then grab one of the darker tones and go closer to the body. I'm gonna go with transparency here because otherwise I won't be able to properly see. And there's a lot of things we can do with the shapes of the fin. So like if I go to Google and put like fish colorful fin as in fish fin, not as in a name, you get these crazy designs. Like sometimes and I mean designs in not in the literal sense, but like these color profiles There's this one with the base in orange, the tips of the fin in black, and then white dots in between, for example. I'm looking at one of these. There's like color combinations and patterns that are really interesting. So for the fin, I want to do something like that. Um, and I might need to use specific brushes, specific alphas for that one. So for now, I'm just setting the base, like I'm gonna do like a base gradient from bottom to top. But I also don't want the gradient to look like very smooth. I want like some variation inside the gradient. Yeah, exactly. For example, like that's one example. I think it's a shame how many mammals are very boring looking. Like they're all furry and brown or gray or yellow. And when you look at bugs or reptiles or fish, they're all like these crazy color patterns and designs. And imagine if you had like a blue rhino with a crazy stripe yellow pattern on top. Like that would be cool, I think. So this is good for now, and now I'm going to do the lighter tones for the top. And there's a subtle sculpting in the fin, but not too much. And the gradient doesn't need to be perfect either. But as long as it's there and you can see it. Um, so I'm gonna look for a dotted alpha. Um, Let me see if I can find one. I'm gonna save first because I haven't saved in this whole time. Okay, so is that a new Dragonizard? Oh, that's a cool name, dude. Nice. Um, I'm gonna use a particular alpha. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure if it's gonna work actually. Um, but we'll see. Maybe it will. So I got this alpha from Pablo. Uh, from Pablo Munoz. If you guys don't know who Pablo is, he's a he's also a streamer on ZBrush Live, but he runs the ZBrush Guides website, which is amazingly good. So check it out if you can. Um, shout outs to Pablo for this cool alpha. I'm looking for it though. Hold on. I forgot where I put it. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab 4 weird looking alphas that are probably gonna be useful for doing some type of interesting detail. I'm gonna smooth this here. I didn't notice that it was like pinching. Doesn't really matter. The sculpt here is pretty dirty, um, but it's really no big deal. And what I'm gonna do is just take the action, like the accent, this accent here. Actually, it would be super cool to have like let's see if we can have like bicolor alphas on this guy. And we're gonna use the drag rectangle. Okay, so this is the effect that I wanted, but because usually I like to keep the colors of the alpha to just one tone. But in this case, might be interesting to, yeah, Pablo is amazing. Shoutouts to Pablo. So let's switch the gradients, the swatches, the color thing. Yeah, it would be really nice to be able to combine these things. Let's see. I don't think you can because it's monochromatic. But it would be nice. I'm trying to think like in the theory of the... In theory, would that work with an alpha? Because you have the gradient from black to white. So obviously the substitution of white would be the color you have selected, but I'm pretty sure there must be a way inside ZBrush to turn like the black into the other color. Like to make a substitution. I don't know. For this one, we might actually need to just isolate. Let's see. There might be a way, and maybe I'm just dumb, and I don't know the way. Yeah, it's not exactly the effect I wanted. We'll just have to experiment. This is what I was kind of going for, like little dots. But I kind of wanted them to be by color, so how do I do that? Yeah, because this dotted pattern doesn't look good, like just like this. Let me just give a quick look around. We might learn something together today. If indeed it's possible. No, I don't want to spend too much time on that, because otherwise this will be... We'll just be losing time. So I'll probably need to... I'll look around the web to see if it's possible. I'm pretty sure it is. Or maybe I need to do like some trickery. But seems something that it should be simple enough. Create from maker, transfer. Yeah, I don't know. Look, for now, let's modify this one, the one we have here. So I'm gonna go to modify. And something that I like is to get rid of, like, increase the radial fade. To have just like a close-ish pattern. Oh, that's a cool idea. But that's for post though. Like make it pop in Photoshop. That's a really nice idea. I'm gonna steal it if you don't mind. I'll give credit though. Shoutouts to Chris from that day on stream. I think that's a really cool idea. So I'm gonna use the radial fade to get rid of the borders. And maybe, no, I don't want to blur it. Maybe increase the intensity just a little bit. And I'm gonna move the alpha around here, because, yeah, this is what I want. A bit more contrast. Seamless, yeah, let's get rid of the seams a little bit. And let's try it. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna just isolate because my ZBrush is starting to lag a little bit. The thing is with polypaint, I usually have to paint on the highest resolution, but that doesn't mean that it has to be all the time in the lowest. So let's just in the highest. So let's just go to the lowest resolution for now to make it easier and just increase this one. But this was sort of what I was going for, I guess. Whoa. Kind of want to make it also look. I'm just gonna like do a base and then do a couple more with drag rectangle. I want it to look like natural as well. I feel like with the drag rectangle, this particular alpha won't look as good. We're gonna be layering a lot of colors on top of one another for this one, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna try and look for another alpha, maybe with a smaller pattern. This one is also cool. I'm probably gonna use it later. It's good to have them here, but for now, I want something more like dotted, but like smaller dots. That I can drag around. Hold on, I'm looking for it. All right. Yeah, I found them. It's a very old collection of alphas, but it's always really helpful. They're generic bumpy skin. So, for example, stuff like this is gonna look really cool. I'm gonna take the lighter blue, and if I use drag rectangle, this is what I was talking about. Like this dotted pattern is really cool because it's also a bit organic. So this is kind of what I wanted to add. And in this case, I'm trying to vary the length of the stroke and the position and the rotation to make it Actually, first I'm gonna mask real quick to make it look like happenstance, to make it look like an actual living thing. So I'm gonna mask uh, roughly the top. I'm going to lower the subdivisions, and I'm also gonna blur the mask as much as I can. Then go back on subdivisions. Hold on, it's saving. And then just add the texture. It starts to fade at the top. And like I said, it's sometimes hard to visualize, so I like to turn off view mask. I think the size looks okay, right? I don't know if I should go with a higher density or higher size. Maybe, yeah, no, maybe I need higher size. I'm gonna go back on this one. I think the detail was like just a little bit too small. Just go back. It was around here. Yeah. So I'm gonna do the whole thing, the whole mask thing again. Yeah, whatever. Go down, subdivisions, blur the mask. Let's go back. And yeah, let's go with bigger spots. I think they look better. And more spread out as well. Um, thing is they barely reach the top of the surface. But that's good. I don't want this to overpower too much. The idea is that you're able to see them, but not like in like as a noise. It's just like, oh, he has like some cool blue patterns. So it's kind of tricky. It's not always perfect to fill in these gaps and make it look not repeated. It's not always so easy. Yeah, I do like it. I think from this distance it looks pretty good. So if it's gonna be from this distance, it's gonna look even better. And I like the glowy idea. I like glowy stuff in general. I've done it a couple of times in my projects and it's always really fun. No, I don't think it looks good if it's in the other direction. This guy's just trying to fill in some gaps. That's it. And in the case, I forgot to mask the bottom, so in this case, I'm just going to pick the usual color and go again with color spray and our alpha. Just mask the spots that way, in a sense. The colors you sent? What do you mean? You sent me something? So I like this, and then I'm gonna do, this is a mask by cavity because like I said, there's some sculpting in there, and I want to take advantage of that. How much can I? Maybe peaks and valleys will pick it up better. I don't know. No, not really. Well, some of it. I wish there would be nice to combine masks. So I'm gonna just use this one for now. Gonna invert, and I'm going to use this bright pink one. It's very subtle. You can't almost even see it, but it's just filling in some cavities. Especially here, I think it's the place you can see it best. And maybe I'm going to use a lighter tone for the top of the fin. Like let's go from this one. Oh, let's get rid of the mask. And like let's just say for the top, what is this alpha? Oh, it had all the modifiers, right? Yeah. No. This wasn't my alpha then, it's this one. Hold on. I did adjust this. Can I change it back with reset? I don't even remember. All this looks, why is my alpha looking like that? Oh, is it because of the colors maybe? No. Oh no, I broke it. I don't know what to do here. Let's reset. I don't know what happens. I'm pretty sure the settings of the alpha are individual to alphas. Maybe not. I really don't remember. So yeah, this alpha, and I'm just gonna paint the top white-ish. Oh no, I'm not actually. I have the chat in another like another application that's bringing together the streams from Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So I'm not able to see the link. But if you want, like, just send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. I think my socials are in the. You can see them right next to me on the webcam. If you want, like, no pressure. Yeah, exactly. No, this was too big. What is happening? It's bugging so bad. I'm guessing I'm getting a bit of RAM issues. And okay, so this looks too wide, but I'm just going to blend it a bit more. Oh, in this case, I'm gonna grab this one, but I'm gonna lower, because I haven't done that before so far, just the RGB intensity. Usually you can control it with pen pressure pretty good, but it was maybe too low. And just blend. And maybe we can use another color pattern for the. I'll show you. We could grab. Let's see if one of these. Like this one might be interesting. Let's see what color we can use. Would an orange even work with this color palette? I don't know. Or like maybe just like a natural blue. Like something like this. Would that work? We'll try it. Maybe I can adjust the contrast a little bit. Or the intensity. Oh, here's the contrast. Would this look good? I'm not sure. Like another pattern on top? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this actually doesn't look half bad. I think it actually looks pretty decent. It's just I want to keep the edge clear, so I'm gonna mask it again. Reduce the mask. Go up. bit more intense, the blue. No, this is too light. Oh, what if I made it darker? I think this pops better actually, because the rest of the tones are... I actually like this effect. It's pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle, but I think it looks cool. It actually helps to give more depth and character to the... Like even, I don't even mind that it's blending in with the blue dots. It's giving even more variation. Looks pretty damn nice. Just trying to clear a bit more space with the mask there. Just in this area a little bit. Nice, this looks cool. I like it. Let's just save. Ajolote espacial. Yeah, something like that. Is it gonna stay low poly for now? No. Well, in this case, hold on, let me just save. In this case, it was just while I painted the fin. And I still want to do some accents on that, but maybe not for now. But no, I'm going back to the body now. It's just like I want the sculpting to pop a bit more. So I don't know if I should just do a bit of this. You know, like with each one, or to go with a darker tone. I don't know which one. Maybe this one, since yeah, this looks like a mask. Yeah, I'll go with a lighter tone, but that I'm gonna do later. Doesn't have to be right now, because otherwise I'm just gonna spend the whole time painting the fin. Sí, hablo español. Soy de México, del DF. But you should always, or you can always also practice English here on the streams. It's fine. I do whatever. Yeah, we'll do the accents later. Now I'm gonna go to the body and continue where we left off. And for the body, we're still way behind in terms of we're just setting the foundation. So yeah, I liked a lot the purple-ish tones, and I'm gonna use them a little bit on top of the blue ones. We go back to the first alpha we were using. It's a really easy base, and now I lowered the RGB before, so I have to put it back because I usually use a very soft stroke for this. I'm not putting too much pressure on the pen. Tengo un canal, pero hasta ahorita solo tengo un video, no he tenido mucha chance de subir más cosas. Pero creo que ahí está, en el stream se puede ver. O si no, igual busca mi nombre en YouTube y debe de salir. Am, y voy a estar subiendo cosas en el futuro, espero que pronto, pero sí, es uno de los planes. So as you can see, I start um, adding a little bit of variation, little by little, making sure to blend the tones. Or like the areas at least, you know, where we're having these changes. Thank you. Appreciate it, Ellen. This part was a bit tricky. I had to take a couple of days to figure this out. Um, but it looks okay. Um, busca Yubaba Sculpt Timelapse. Yubaba de Chihiro. Y debe salir. Es el único video que tengo. So if we look at the flat color, again, not looking at the big shapes, I mean at the like ornamental shapes, looking at like the big patterns in the body. Sometimes it's a good idea to do this like painting flat so you can see the actual tones you're using. Venga, de nada. Gracias por el interés. So I'm noticing here, for example, that this tone is very yellow, and so I'm gonna paint like a base, but I'm gonna also switch up to a more white-ish color. Like just slowly, like don't rush things. It's sometimes I feel it's easier with this type of technique to just go back, paint on top. I feel like not rushing it is good. So like for example here I have the urge to try and sculpt and paint, I mean, around the surface, but I'm trying not to because I want to establish the main patterns first. So like the interior of the leg to be a bit lighter in tone than the outside. This is a very mammal thing, like well, also reptiles, but like specifically in mammals usually like this is very soft in the underbelly. And another trick I forgot to tell you, like we can try this so you can see what I mean. When you sculpt details, it's really useful to go back and in subdivision levels and do maskings there because you don't have the same level of detail. Let's say if I do, I'm just gonna show you. If I go to the highest subdivision level and do a mask by cavity, this is what I get, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna use this a lot, uh, like further down the road. But if we go to flat color, we can see how the mask looks. I'm just gonna save a screenshot there. And then if I go down in subdivision levels and let's say I do the same thing on level 2, I get a completely different mask. Then if I go up in subdivision levels, like even though it's the same at level 6, you can see how the mask, I'm still in flat color, you can see how the mask is so different. I mean, it follows the same patterns, but I mean different in like the shape and the blurriness and all of that. So you can get different results with this. So for example, I'm gonna try something just to see. Maybe it looks good. I don't know. I'm gonna invert the mask, and then I'm gonna take this color and do a fill object. I'm not gonna turn off the mask just now. Well, maybe I have to. Then do another mask. That was on level 2. Let's do one on level 4. Again, the same parameters in mask by cavity. And then I'm gonna take this one, invert the mask, and fill object. I know it looks weird, but hold on. And then I'm gonna do another one at level 6. So mask by cavity, invert it. And for this one, I'm gonna use the lightest tone, fill object. So you can see we sort of, I mean, it's pretty bad because I didn't pay much attention to it, but it gave us, if you see, like the illusion sort of breaks at the second mask with the second tone, but you can see like we had the blue and then a pattern emerged with the first mask that it was like on level 2. It gave a lot of depth to cavities already. Let's go back. Like this, for example. The tone might be a bit strong, so what I can do is like if we go back, because it was super saturated and the mask was very big, so it's looking really weird right now. So this is where I painted this. We have the mask. I'm just going to turn it off so we can see what we have. Go again, pick the same color, but now I'm gonna decrease the RGB like very low. And then fill object a couple of times. So you can see how it's slowly building itself. So maybe like a level here would be what I recommend because it's already starting to give a bit more details into the color based on the surface without ignoring that we already have a solid base running across the whole character. So that's a really cool way to start building the color in a way that it doesn't look fake and looks more natural, but also at the same time takes advantage of whatever it is that you're sculpting. It's just a matter of tweaking the masks and the tones, because what I tried to do was a gradient, like going from widest or like thinnest mask, widest color area, I guess, to lowest, like from big soft cracks to very thin sharp cracks. It didn't work because of the tones. They weren't blended properly, and the mask wasn't like smoothed or anything. But you can see how, like here, for example, it gets this really cool pattern that I already sculpted without me actually painting it, but we keep the overall tone of the character. So for now, I'm not gonna do it because I'm still not done with the main tones. But yeah, that's like a very easy trick. So I would recommend. I'm just going to add a bit more purples around and blues in some areas. So like this was the color we had, and I need a lighter one. Hey Lizard, thank you so much. Glad you like it. It's been fun to work on. So I'm just gonna blend a little bit the warmer tones that I had with like this cream color with a bit of blue or like lightish blue. It's looking white on the surface. It doesn't look like much, but it's just blending. I'm using it as a blend agent. Just gonna use this darker blue in some areas. Gracias, Charlie. Muchas gracias, bro. So it's gonna look really cool once I figure out like what the masking parameters, like maybe use a couple more alphas, and we'll figure out very soon how all the detail will start looking on top of the blue color. I like the accents a lot. I really like this pattern, like this color palette. The body might be too blue. Charlie, me tardé como como solo lo estaba haciendo en streams, han de ser como unas 20 horas llevo en esto más o menos. No mucho, no es tanto tiempo. So I've just been working on this guy on streams, but I'm guessing it's just like around 20 hours of work. It's not that much. It's just also it's been taking longer because I usually sculpt slower or like work slower when I'm streaming because like there's chatting and there's questions, so it's fine. But it's a cool exercise to do. So I'm guessing, like I'm looking at the body right now and looking at my reference, and I'm still not sure if I want it to be so blue. So a cool trick that we can do is to just go full white in this case. Go to RGB intensity and put like a 10%, 11 it's fine, and then just fill object, and you can start like if you do a lot of times you lose the color and then you go pure white, but it's a nice way to bring some brightness. You do lose a little bit of detail though, So be mindful of that, but I think I can live with that. But for now, let's just keep it like that for now. Um, I can also change that later in Photoshop or whatever, so it's fine. Gracias, Sergio. Saludos igualmente. So at this point, well, the only thing missing is the webbing on the fingers and toes. Pretty much gonna be the same pattern as here. Maybe, maybe just like with less detail. Um, but the next step would be in the body to start using like the mask and a bit of hand painting to accentuate stuff. Because it's really cool that I can just come here, take the standard, I mean take the yeah standard whatever, put it in RGB. And just paint stuff around. I can do that with the mask, but I can also um, you have more control. If the mask is not giving you the results that you like, if the mask is not giving you exactly what you want to paint, just do it by hand. And if you can't, then use an alpha. And if neither of those things, yeah, you just have to go with by hand. And you saw like when I was doing the horns, you saw how I went back a couple of times and painted by hand some things. Just to accentuate stuff, so it's fine. But yeah, it's finally starting to look decent. Yeah, you can do UVs with this. I have. Well, let's go all low res and turn off polypaint for now. So yeah, this is a very simple remesh, but I can UV this one. I could go. Let me save before. You can do C plugin, UV master. Used X16 now. Keep polygroups, symmetry, polygroups, and I think that's it. There's more complicated stuff you can do, but I don't think that's needed for this. We can just like do unwrap. An error occurred, I don't know why. Let's try again. Keeps giving me an error, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, that's basically what you do. So just unwrap, and you can visualize with flatten here. I can flatten because it didn't do the UVs, but you can do them like whatever your program of choice. Yeah, but you'd still need Maya though. Todavía necesitas Maya porque, bueno, depende para qué, porque ZBrush no sustituye por completo muchas herramientas de Maya y viceversa. I'm just gonna go back to delete this part, this color that I did. Okay. So yeah, this is a first good step. I'm gonna say for the last time. Stream is gonna end soon, but thank you guys so much for joining and for asking questions and being interested. It's always kind of weird to think that other people like to watch me work, but it's cool when there's a conversation and you guys ask questions and comments and stuff like that. So thank you for that. I'm gonna stream again in 2 weeks, same time slot, Thursdays. It's 11 a.m. Los Angeles time, 1 p.m. Mexico City time, and whatever p.m. elsewhere. I don't know. I'll continue to to work on this one. So thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. As always, if you have questions or want to give me a comment or whatever, you can reach out to me on my socials. They're on the stream right next to the webcam. Feel free anytime. And yeah, hope you guys liked it and learned a little bit of my process. Thank you guys so much. Take care. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks if you're interested. Again, I have to go now, so it's just end 5 minutes early, but I hope it's no big deal. Gracias, Ellen. Again, thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.